Are you ready to revolutionize the way you approach entrepreneurship and innovation? Welcome to QuickLit, where we're about to embark on a journey into the world of The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. In this video, we'll uncover the groundbreaking principles that have transformed startups and businesses worldwide. Get ready to learn how to innovate faster, minimize risks, and build a successful venture based on validated learning. Let's dive in. Chapter 1, Start. Ries begins by highlighting the fundamental problem that many startups face: they build products that nobody wants. He introduces the concept of validated learning, emphasizing the importance of learning from customer feedback and data rather than relying on gut instincts or long-term planning. Ries argues that a startup is a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. Chapter 2, Define. In this chapter, Ries introduces the Build Measure Learn feedback loop, which is the core of the lean startup methodology. He emphasizes the importance of defining a startup experiment as a first step. This experiment aims to test a hypothesis about a product's value and a customer's willingness to pay for it. Ries also introduces the concept of a minimum viable product, MVP, which is the smallest version of a product that can be tested with real customers. Chapter 3, Learn. Ries delves into the concept of learning from the MVP. He explains how startups should measure their progress by using actionable metrics that reveal the real impact of the product on customers. Vanity metrics, which may look impressive but lack meaningful insights, should be avoided. Ries introduces the 5 Whys technique for diagnosing problems and driving continuous improvement. Chapter 4, Experiment. Ries discusses the importance of conducting small, controlled experiments to test hypotheses. He introduces the concept of innovation accounting, which helps startups track their progress accurately. Innovation accounting involves assessing whether the product development efforts are leading to validated learning, enabling startups to make informed decisions about pivoting or persevering. Chapter 5, Build. Ries emphasizes the value of a scientific approach to startup development. He introduces the split test as a way to validate hypotheses and make decisions based on data. He also discusses the concept of leap of faith assumptions, which are the most critical and untested assumptions underlying a startup's vision. Addressing these assumptions early is vital for success. Chapter 6, Measure. In this chapter, Ries dives deeper into the measurement aspect of the Build Measure Learn loop. He introduces the concept of actionable metrics versus vanity metrics and explains how actionable metrics provide meaningful insights into customer behavior. Ries also discusses the importance of cohort analysis, which helps track the behavior of specific groups of customers over time. Chapter 7, Pivot or Persevere. Ries introduces the concept of a pivot as a fundamental part of the lean startup approach. A pivot is a change in strategy without changing the vision. Startups should pivot when their hypotheses are invalidated, leading them to explore new directions. Alternatively, they should persevere when they achieve positive validated learning. Chapter 8, Accelerate. In the final part of this 1/10 of the book, Ries discusses how lean startups can accelerate their progress by focusing on the engine of growth. He introduces the 3 engines of growth: the sticky engine, the viral engine, and the paid engine. Each engine has its strategies and tactics for scaling a startup. Chapter 9, Batch. Ries introduces the concept of batch size as a crucial factor in the lean startup process. Smaller batch sizes reduce waste and help startups learn faster. He discusses the benefits of continuous deployment, where small batches of code are continually released to customers for feedback. This approach minimizes risk and allows startups to adapt to changing conditions more efficiently. Chapter 10, Grow. This chapter explores strategies for achieving sustainable growth. Ries emphasizes that growth should be built on a solid foundation of validated learning. He introduces the Engines of Growth framework, which includes the 3 previously mentioned engines: sticky, viral, and paid. Startups should focus on the engine that best fits their product and market. Chapter 11, Adapt. Ries acknowledges that the lean startup approach requires adaptability. Startups must be prepared to change course when necessary. He discusses the concept of validated learning, where experiments are designed to test specific hypotheses and provide clear answers. He also emphasizes the importance of a pivot when it becomes evident that a different direction is needed. Chapter 12, Innovate. In this chapter, Ries introduces the lean startup principles in the context of larger, more established organizations. He discusses how established companies can apply lean startup methodologies to drive innovation and respond to disruptive challenges. Ries argues that these principles are not limited to startups but can benefit any organization seeking to innovate. Chapter 13, Epilogue. The second 1/10 of the book concludes with an epilogue that reiterates the key concepts and principles introduced so far. Ries emphasizes that the lean startup approach is not a set of rules but a set of principles that can be adapted to specific situations. He encourages readers to apply these principles to their own entrepreneurial endeavors. Chapter 14, The Lean Startup at Work. Ries provides real-world examples of companies that have successfully applied lean startup principles. He highlights how companies like Dropbox, MVU, and Intuit used experimentation, validated learning, and continuous improvement to drive their success. These case studies illustrate the transformative power of lean startup practices. Chapter 15, Validated Learning. Ries expands on the concept of validated learning introduced earlier in the book. He emphasizes that the goal of any startup is to learn quickly and efficiently. By conducting experiments and measuring the results, startups can gather valuable data that informs their decisions. Ries introduces the concept of split testing and explains how it helps in the process of validated learning. Chapter 16, Learning Plans. This chapter explores the creation of learning plans, which are systematic approaches to testing hypotheses and learning from customers. Ries provides a step-by-step guide to developing effective learning plans, which involves setting clear learning goals, designing experiments, and defining success metrics. He emphasizes the iterative nature of these plans and their role in minimizing waste. Chapter 17, Build Measure Learn. Ries revisits the Build Measure Learn feedback loop, which is at the heart of the lean startup methodology. He discusses the importance of each phase, building a minimum viable product, MVP, measuring the impact of the MVP, and learning from the results. Ries provides guidance on how to optimize each step of the loop for maximum efficiency. Chapter 18, Split the Work. Ries advocates for splitting the work into small, cross-functional teams called small batches. This approach promotes agility and allows teams to work independently on specific features or experiments. Small batches reduce coordination overhead and help startups adapt more quickly to changing circumstances. Chapter 19, Validated Learning in Action. In this chapter, Ries provides a detailed case study of a startup called Intuitive Surgical, which created the Da Vinci surgical system. He illustrates how Intuitive Surgical used validated learning to develop and refine its product, ultimately leading to market success. The case study showcases the practical application of lean startup principles. Chapter 20, Innovation Accounting. Ries introduces the concept of innovation accounting, a framework for evaluating the progress of a startup. He explains how startups should focus on actionable metrics and set up key performance indicators, KPIs, to track their growth and learning. Innovation accounting helps startups make informed decisions about pivoting or persevering. Chapter 21, Split the Testing. Ries introduces the concept of split testing in more detail. Split testing, also known as A/B testing, involves comparing two versions of a product or feature to determine which one performs better. This method allows startups to make data-driven decisions and iterate rapidly based on user feedback. Chapter 22, Build a Path to the Lean Startup. In this chapter, Ries provides guidance on how to transition an existing company or project into a lean startup. He emphasizes the importance of starting with a lean transformation that involves rethinking the entire product development process. This transformation involves creating a culture of experimentation and learning. Chapter 23, Pivot or Persevere. Ries revisits the concept of a pivot, which he introduced earlier in the book. He explains that a pivot is a fundamental change in strategy without a change in vision. Startups should pivot when they learn that their initial hypotheses are not working. Ries provides examples of different types of pivots and discusses when and how to pivot effectively. Chapter 24, Lean Thinking. Ries draws connections between lean startup principles and lean manufacturing principles, emphasizing the shared goal of eliminating waste. He discusses how lean thinking can be applied to startup practices, such as reducing excess inventory, unfinished work, and minimizing overproduction, building features that customers don't want. Chapter 25, The Lean Startup at Intuit. Using the example of Intuit, the company behind products like QuickBooks and TurboTax, Ries illustrates how a large, established company can adopt lean startup principles to drive innovation. He discusses how Intuit embraced experimentation, validated learning, and innovation accounting to develop successful new products and services. Chapter 26, Lean Thinking and Sustainability. Ries explores how lean thinking and sustainability are interconnected. He argues that sustainable practices can be seen as a form of waste reduction, and lean principles can help companies reduce their environmental footprint. Ries encourages startups to consider sustainability as part of their innovation efforts. Chapter 27, The Lean Startup at GE. Ries shares the story of how General Electric, GE, a massive multinational corporation, embraced lean startup principles to drive innovation and transform its culture. He highlights GE's FastWorks initiative, which applied lean startup techniques to accelerate product development and improve customer engagement. Chapter 28, Conclusion to Part 4. The fourth 1/10 of the book concludes by summarizing the key concepts and insights presented in this section. Eric Ries emphasizes that the lean startup is not just a set of tools but a fundamental shift in mindset and culture. It's about continuously learning, adapting, and responding to customer feedback to build products that customers truly want. Chapter 29, Actionable Metrics. Ries emphasizes the significance of actionable metrics, data that can drive specific actions and decisions. He contrasts actionable metrics with vanity metrics, which might look impressive but do not inform actionable steps. Actionable metrics provide startups with valuable insights into customer behavior and product performance. Chapter 30, Vanity Metrics versus Actionable Metrics. Building upon the previous chapter, Ries continues to stress the importance of distinguishing between vanity metrics and actionable metrics. Vanity metrics can mislead entrepreneurs into making incorrect assumptions about their products. Startups should prioritize actionable metrics that can guide improvements and pivot decisions. Chapter 31, A 5 Whys Deep Dive. Ries introduces the concept of the 5 Whys, a problem-solving technique borrowed from lean manufacturing. It involves asking why repeatedly to dig deeper into the root cause of a problem. By identifying the underlying issues, startups can make more effective changes to their products and processes. Chapter 32, Build a Sustainable Business. In this chapter, Ries discusses the goal of building a sustainable business. He advocates for startups to create products that customers want and are willing to pay for. He introduces the concept of a value hypothesis and a growth hypothesis, highlighting their importance in the lean startup approach. Chapter 33, Lean Analytics. Ries introduces the concept of lean analytics, which involves measuring the success of a startup based on specific, actionable metrics. He discusses different types of startups and the corresponding metrics that matter most for each type. Lean analytics help startups understand where they are on their growth journey and how to proceed. Chapter 34, Innovation Accounting Revisited. Ries revisits the topic of innovation accounting, reinforcing its role in tracking a startup's progress. He highlights the importance of determining the one metric that matters, OMTM, for a startup, which is the single most important metric that aligns with the company's growth goals. Chapter 35, Validated Learning Revisited. The author emphasizes the iterative nature of validated learning and its role in making informed decisions. Startups should continually test hypotheses, learn from customer feedback, and adapt their strategies accordingly. Ries reiterates that validated learning is a fundamental pillar of the lean startup methodology. Chapter 36, Learning Milestones. Ries introduces the concept of learning milestones, which are significant achievements related to validated learning. Learning milestones can help startups gauge their progress and assess whether they are moving in the right direction. They serve as markers of success in the lean startup journey. Chapter 37, Build Measure Learn Revisited. The Build Measure Learn feedback loop is revisited in this chapter. Ries underscores its importance as the engine that drives the lean startup process. Startups must continually build, measure, and learn to refine their products and strategies, ensuring that they stay aligned with customer needs and market realities. Chapter 38, Split the Monolith. Ries discusses the challenges of splitting a monolithic product into smaller, more manageable components. He emphasizes that breaking down a complex product into smaller parts allows startups to iterate more quickly and reduce the risks associated with long development cycles. This approach aligns with the lean principle of delivering value to customers sooner. Chapter 39, The MVP Revisited. Building upon earlier discussions of the minimum viable product, MVP, Ries delves deeper into its importance. He highlights the role of the MVP in helping startups test their assumptions and gather real-world feedback from customers. MVPs are a crucial tool for avoiding the trap of building a full-featured product that might not meet customer needs. Chapter 40, Lean Thinking in an Enterprise. Ries explores how lean thinking can be applied within larger enterprises, where innovation and entrepreneurship are often constrained by bureaucracy and hierarchy. He introduces the concept of the innovation accounting system and discusses how it can enable large organizations to become more agile and innovative. Chapter 41, Epilogue to Part 6. This chapter serves as an epilogue to Part 6, summarizing the key concepts discussed in this section. Ries reinforces the idea that lean startup principles can be applied not only to startups but also to established companies seeking to drive innovation and adapt to changing market conditions. Chapter 42, The 5 Principles of Lean Thinking. Ries introduces the 5 core principles of lean thinking, which serve as the foundation for the lean startup methodology. These principles include: entrepreneurs are everywhere. Ries asserts that entrepreneurship is not limited to startups, it can thrive in any organization or context. Entrepreneurship is management. Effective entrepreneurship requires a systematic and disciplined approach, akin to management. Validated learning. Startups should prioritize learning over producing, with a focus on validated learning through experimentation. Build Measure Learn. The Build Measure Learn feedback loop is the heart of the lean startup approach, enabling rapid iteration. Innovative accounting. Startups and organizations should use innovation accounting to measure progress accurately and make data-driven decisions. Chapter 43, The Lean Startup Changes Everything. Ries concludes this section by emphasizing the transformative potential of the lean startup methodology. He asserts that the lean startup represents a fundamental shift in how businesses and organizations approach entrepreneurship and innovation. By prioritizing validated learning, iterative development, and customer centricity, startups and established companies alike can increase their chances of success and adapt to an ever-changing business landscape. Chapter 44, The Engine of Growth. Ries introduces the concept of the engine of growth, which is the strategy that a startup employs to acquire and retain customers. He describes 3 engines of growth: the sticky engine, the viral engine, and the paid engine. Startups must identify which engine aligns with their business and growth goals. Chapter 45, The Sticky Engine of Growth. Ries focuses on the sticky engine of growth, which involves retaining existing customers and increasing their lifetime value. He discusses strategies for achieving customer stickiness, such as creating high customer switching costs and improving the product to meet customer needs better over time. Chapter 46, The Viral Engine of Growth. In this chapter, Ries explores the viral engine of growth, which relies on customers referring the product to others. He discusses the mechanics of virality and how startups can design products that naturally encourage sharing and referrals. The viral engine can be a powerful growth accelerator when executed effectively. Chapter 47, The Paid Engine of Growth. The paid engine of growth involves using advertising and marketing to acquire new customers. Ries explains that paid growth can be viable if the cost of acquiring a customer is lower than the customer's lifetime value. He offers insights into optimizing paid advertising campaigns and measuring their effectiveness. Chapter 48, The New Entrepreneurial Mindset. Ries emphasizes the importance of adopting a new entrepreneurial mindset that prioritizes learning, experimentation, and customer centricity. This mindset shift is crucial for entrepreneurs to navigate the challenges of building a successful startup in a rapidly changing business landscape. Chapter 49, The Pivot or Persevere Dilemma. Ries revisits the concept of a pivot, a fundamental change in strategy without a change in vision. He discusses the challenges entrepreneurs face when deciding whether to pivot or persevere with their current strategy. The lean startup methodology provides a framework for making informed decisions in the face of uncertainty. Chapter 50, Continuous Deployment. Ries introduces the concept of continuous deployment, a software development practice that involves frequently releasing new code changes to production. He explains how continuous deployment enables startups to deliver value to customers more rapidly and reduce the time it takes to learn from user feedback. Chapter 51, Splitting the Monolith, Again. Ries revisits the topic of splitting a monolithic product into smaller components, emphasizing its benefits in terms of rapid iteration and risk reduction. Startups should aim to modularize their products to facilitate faster development cycles and better response to customer needs. Chapter 52, Epilogue to Part 7. This chapter serves as an epilogue to Part 7, summarizing the key concepts and insights presented in this section. Eric Ries highlights the significance of the engine of growth, the pivot or persevere dilemma, and the role of continuous deployment in achieving startup success. Chapter 53, Lean Thinking and the Toyota Production System. Ries draws parallels between lean startup principles and the Toyota Production System, TPS, a renowned manufacturing methodology known for its efficiency and waste reduction. He explains how the TPS concepts of continuous improvement and waste elimination can be applied to startups to enhance productivity and innovation. Chapter 54, Lean Thinking and Sustainability. Ries discusses the relationship between lean thinking and sustainability, emphasizing that the lean startup approach can contribute to reducing waste, conserving resources, and promoting sustainable business practices. Startups can align their efforts with environmental and social sustainability goals. Chapter 55, Beyond the Local Maximum. This chapter delves into the concept of the local maximum, a point where a startup's current strategy is optimized but may not lead to long-term success. Ries encourages entrepreneurs to explore innovative solutions beyond the local maximum and avoid complacency with incremental improvements. Chapter 56, Building a Sustainable Business. Ries continues to stress the importance of building a sustainable business by providing value to customers. He introduces the concept of a pivot as a structured course correction to test new hypotheses and find a sustainable path forward. Chapter 57, The Psychology of Entrepreneurial Misjudgment. Ries explores the cognitive biases and psychological factors that can lead entrepreneurs to make misjudgments and errors in their decision-making processes. Understanding these biases is essential for making more rational and data-driven choices. Chapter 58, Avoiding the Build Trap. Ries warns against falling into the build trap, where startups focus solely on building features and products without validating customer demand. He advocates for a customer-centric approach that prioritizes learning and experimentation over product development. Chapter 59, Conclusion, Lean Thinking for the Long Term. The author concludes this section by summarizing the key concepts discussed in these chapters. He emphasizes that lean startup principles, including validated learning, experimentation, and continuous improvement, are not just applicable to startups but also vital for long-term success in any business context. Chapter 60, Innovation accounting. Ries introduces the concept of innovation accounting, which involves quantifying progress and learning in a startup. He emphasizes that startups should use actionable metrics that can guide decision-making and measure the effectiveness of their strategies. This approach contrasts with vanity metrics, which provide little actionable insight. Chapter 61, 3 Aha Moments. The author shares 3 aha moments that can transform the way entrepreneurs think about their startups. Startups are not smaller versions of large companies. Ries emphasizes that startups face unique challenges and uncertainties that require a different approach than established companies. Learning is the essential unit of progress. Rather than focusing solely on delivering products, startups should prioritize learning from customers through experimentation. Validated learning. The lean startup approach centers around validated learning, where startups test hypotheses and assumptions to gather data and make informed decisions. Chapter 62, Leap of Faith Assumptions. Ries explores the concept of leap of faith assumptions, which are the foundational beliefs upon which a startup's vision is built. Entrepreneurs must identify these critical assumptions and validate them through experimentation to mitigate the risk of building a product that customers don't want. Chapter 63, Testing the Vision. Building on the previous concept, Ries discusses how to test the startup's vision through a process of validated learning. This involves creating hypotheses, designing experiments, and collecting data to refine the vision and adapt to changing market conditions. Chapter 64, Scaling Lean. The author delves into strategies for scaling lean startup principles beyond the initial stages of a startup. He emphasizes that large organizations can benefit from adopting lean thinking to foster innovation, adapt to market changes, and stay competitive. Chapter 65, Epilogue, Waste Not. The book's epilogue provides a final reflection on the overarching themes of lean thinking and the lean startup methodology. Ries reiterates the importance of avoiding waste, prioritizing learning, and maintaining a relentless focus on delivering value to customers. Chapter 66, The Lean Startup at GE. Ries discusses a real-world case study involving General Electric, GE, and their implementation of lean startup principles. This case demonstrates how a large, established company can adapt and innovate by applying lean thinking to product development and customer centricity. Chapter 67, Managing Entrepreneurial Crisis. The author acknowledges that startups will face crises and setbacks, which are an inevitable part of the entrepreneurial journey. He provides guidance on how to manage these crises using lean principles, emphasizing the importance of maintaining a clear vision, focusing on the most critical problems, and avoiding a downward spiral. Chapter 68, Learning in Action. Ries highlights the importance of continual learning in entrepreneurship. He encourages entrepreneurs to stay open to feedback, adapt to changing circumstances, and refine their strategies based on validated learning. The ability to pivot and persevere is critical for long-term success. Chapter 69, Epilogue, Innovating Faster at Lower Risk. In the book's concluding chapter, Ries reinforces the core message of the lean startup methodology, the pursuit of innovation at a faster pace and with lower risk. He reflects on the transformation of entrepreneurship and how the lean startup movement has influenced a new generation of entrepreneurs and innovators. Afterward, the lean startup movement. The afterword celebrates the global impact of the lean startup movement. Ries shares stories of entrepreneurs and organizations that have successfully applied lean principles to achieve remarkable results. He acknowledges the community of innovators who continue to push the boundaries of lean thinking. Appendix, Lean Thinking. The book concludes with an appendix that provides additional resources and recommendations for readers interested in exploring lean thinking further. Ries suggests books, articles, and websites that can help entrepreneurs and leaders deepen their understanding of lean principles. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.